All right, and we can get started. So we are going to walk through some of the best practices in Filevine reporting and also talk through some of the things that you can do with Filevine reporting. I'm going to start with the basics, and if anyone has questions on how we can go a little bit deeper with this reporting knowledge, please feel free to pop those in the chat. We will, like Jasmine said, we will try to answer those in real time. So your report builder can be found in the main menu in Filevine. So we'll click on this hamburger menu up here and scroll down to report builder. Really quickly want to call out saved reports. This is where you can access any reports that you've already built, but reports that you want to build or edit or add criteria to, you'll need to access those in report builder. Once you're in the report builder, you can see over here on the left are a ton of reports that people in our team have built, reports that I have built. And over here on the right-hand side is a list of kind of built-in reports that Filevine provides. They're not complete reports necessarily. You could run it and get quite a bit of data, but generally when you're reporting, you're looking for specific data points or specific metrics you want to report on. So you will need to edit some of these. These reports here also, if you notice the theme, they are reports for static sections. We don't see any collection section reports listed here. We will see those when we first select an org. For you, this may be automatically selected, especially if you only have one org. You won't need to worry about this one, but I'm going to choose our sandbox. The project type, though, this is important if you want to report on specific sections in your Filevine. So I'm going to come down here and just scroll to our personal injury template. Scrolling should take a lot less time for all of you. But now that I have my personal injury project type selected, you can see I've got a list of medical items now, a list of insurance items, liens, negotiations, things like that. So if I wanted to run a list of medical items report, I could absolutely do that. I would just need to make sure to select a project type first. I do want to show you a medical report, but the first report I want to walk you through is a standard report we see most firms using. In this case, I am just going off of the example of personal injury. That's my background. I have a lot of firms I work with in personal injury, but reporting applies to all kinds of project types. I'm going to click on list of projects, though. This is a broad report. Anytime I want to run a report on settlement data or SOLs, or even just the team assignments, I like to start on a list of projects report because it will allow me to pull from those sections like intake or case summary where that information lives. On the note of that, I'm actually going to go ahead and duplicate this and open up a project on the front end, so that we have a reference for some of those data points. Oops, that one's not PI. This one is. Okay. So I have my project open, but over here on my list of projects report, I will need to go through 2 steps one more time. This is one of the only reports that will require you to do this within the setup area. So with the list of projects, you do need to specify the org again and tell it which project type you are looking for. So I'm going to scroll back down, grab that personal injury project type, and we can start building one. So you'll see here the report columns are pre-populated, and by default, they will be pre-populated with some information that's not going to change across report types. The name is the project name. This also populates as a clickable link when the report generates. So once we get to the end, we'll talk about report settings, having auto reports. You can have reports emailed to your email, or excuse your inbox, on a schedule that you set. And when you get that report, it will come to you in whichever format you specify, generally Excel, but you can use that report as a working document. So you can click on the projects on that report and it will open up a Filevine tab. So that's that name column there. Project type is generally a column that I take out. Project type is just going to reflect what we've selected down here. I'll leave it in for this training, but generally that's an option I typically remove. First primary will show us who the primary on the project is. That can be important information. Phase, of course, that's one we like to keep because it will let us know what stage our case is in. Org name is also one that I typically remove because generally that's not going to change. It will be your firm name or your team name. So I'm going to double click to remove that one, but these here I'll keep. I do like to rearrange them. I like the project name to be at the top. So it's that first column. It has those links and I can click it and go to my project if I'm working from outside of Filevine. This name column here, I'm just going to grab and drop it up at the top. You can rearrange these here. You can also rearrange them before you save the report. Run report will give us an option to make any changes if we need to. So I've got the project type, the first primary, the phase. I want to pull in the incident date as well if we're going to build a statute of limitations report. So I'll pull in my incident date, and up here in the quick select, I'm using this, didn't even talk about it. It's just become habit for me. I find it a lot easier to type in the field I'm looking for into quick select and let Filevine kind of fill in the blank for me versus scrolling through these lists on the side. Now in the general category selector, not too much to scroll through, but if we were to pop down to maybe intake, for example, that's going to have a lot of fields. It's taking a moment to pop up. You see this scroll icon has gotten a lot smaller. I would have to scroll through several data sets before I reached that incident date field that we just pulled in. So quick select is your best friend when you're trying to get a report built quickly. If you don't know the name of the field, but you know what you're looking for, that's where having a project open in another tab comes in handy. So I want to find the statute of limitations. I, of course, know what field to look for in the quick select, but I can also come here to case summary and just copy this statute of limitations. That's the field name on the front end. I can come over here to the quick select and just paste that in. And then it's going to ask me which date I want to grab. But you can see here, it's referencing that case summary section. So it already knows what I'm looking for. It knows where it's at. All I need to do is select it and it is now part of our report. I'm not actually, let's add some more columns here. Let's add some team assignments. So I'm going to hop up here and grab my lead attorney. And with this, it's going to give me some other options. Do I want to grab the lead attorney from the team section? That's not really what I'm looking for. I want the one from case summary, but I would have to scroll a little ways before I could grab their full name. So I'm just going to start typing that in my quick select right next to the lead attorney. And here I can grab that lead attorney full name. Maybe I also want the paralegal. So I'll go ahead and add in the paralegal's full name as well. So I've got the name, the phase, the first primary, project type, the incident date, and then our SOL due date, our lead attorney, and our paralegal. I think this is a good starting point for that SOL report. So I'm going to now click into choose criteria. And this is where we can make it a little more granular or narrow in on what time frame we're looking for. Maybe we don't want to see every SOL due date, especially if the SOL is years away, or maybe it's already been done. We can filter those things out in this criteria stage. Generally, when I'm building this SOL report with firms, we like to have a few different versions, and the typical date range we look for is if the SOL is upcoming with 180 days, Or sometimes people run one just to show SOLs upcoming within 90 days. Either way, we want a good chunk of time to review those cases before that SOL approaches. So I'm going to, again, use this quick select search here, but you can see this lists out all of the sections or project data that we can add in as criteria. I'm just going to start typing. My statute of limitations, and you can see case summary is actually what I want to pull for. It's showing me deadline chains up top. I can just minimize that because I know I'm not looking there for this criteria. And I'm going to grab the regular statute of limitations, due within. I'm going to grab this criteria here, this statute of limitations past due or due within blank days of today and not done. So selecting that specific criteria is not going to pick up any statutes that would fall into this category that have already been done. This would just be picking up those statutes that are outstanding or past due. We probably won't pick up any of those, but I'm going to go ahead and just fill this in. So show me statutes that are past due or due within 180 days of today, but aren't done yet. I'll click run report here, and then it should give me a few results. But that past due or not done is the one you want to grab, just so that we don't pick up any data that's not going to be relevant, like statutes you've already complied with. This will take a second to run. And while this is running, did anyone have any questions or maybe any reports you want to see? I don't see any questions in the chat. I just want to make sure I'm not missing any.
One other thing regarding criteria while we wait for any questions, you can choose multiple criteria. So if you also want to see, hey, I want to see statute of limitations that, suffice for this, but also just my cases, not anybody else's, you can add that in. Again, you'll see a long list of criteria options. So we always recommend for people to kind of just play around. You're not going to break anything. It's not going to impact anything kind of in your system. It just allows you to get more granular in what you're searching for. You can group items when you run the report. So if you're like, okay, I don't necessarily want to just pull out mine, but I do want to see mine, you can group them together. This is where having a standard username convention for reporting, or like it comes into play when you're doing reporting, because it allows you to type in a specific user's name from Filevine. So if you don't have a standard naming cadence, like first initial, last name, first name, last initial, something like that, it does get a little bit more difficult for somebody to run reports for you, utilizing your username, just because they have to guess. So it won't allow you to do chat, but you can type in here this Q&A. Thank you for that, because we're in a webinar. It won't allow for chat for you all to respond back, but you can always type your questions into this Q&A and we can get those answered. Or if you just want to comment or say any reports that you kind of want to see, you can definitely do that here in the Q&A. Thank you.
Okay. So a report generated here, and I did add in some extra criteria, just filtering out for the lead attorney being Ivan, so that I can look at maybe Ivan's cases where the SOL is upcoming. So here we have one that falls into that past due criteria. Actually, both fall into the past due criteria. But this is what that report looks like when it populates. This is also where you can rearrange things. So maybe I wanted to see the statute a lot closer to the front. I can just grab that column and drag it over. Maybe I want to pull incident date over as well, and that lead attorney. So you can rearrange these columns here if you did not rearrange them in the setup area, if it's not what you want to see. This is what I was telling you about with the hyperlink. So if I were to click on this link, it's going to open up that project in a new tab. And this will also show up when you have that report generated in Excel. And you can click on those there as well. And then this is the grouping that Jasmine mentioned. You can choose specific grouping. If we had not filtered this down by attorney, I could group by attorney, so I could look at everyone's kind of sectioned out. Once you've run your report, you see a preview of what that will look like. You can click on the Save and Export tab, and this is where we'll save the report, give it a name. I'm just going to call this list of projects. Actually, let me be a little more specific. SOL past due or due within 180 days. I mistyped there. I like to call out the criteria that I've used in the report as part of the title, just so that I know when I'm looking through these reports, it's not just an SOL report, it's showing me anything past due or due within this time frame as well. So I'm going to click save here, and before I do that, in the background, you'll see this still reflects list of projects. When I hit save here, it will take a moment for that report name in the background to update, but once that's updated, you know your report is saved. This dialog box will stay open for just a minute, but as long as you see that name in the background reflecting the name of your report, you're good to go. We just wait for this dialog box to close. If you hit save more than once, which I'll do so I can show you archiving a report, you're going to end up with multiple copies of it, which is not a huge deal. You can always archive reports if you no longer need them or if you created one in error. So my report has saved, and below my save option, I have my export options. So I have two ways that I can export this report, either in Excel or Word. Excel, of course, is going to look a lot more uniform to what our report previewer in that Run tab looked like. In Word, it will display the page in like a portrait orientation. So those data sets will be grouped together and listed out on top of each other. Under export options, you have your auto report settings. This is where you can set up a report to automatically email to your email on whatever schedule you choose. So maybe I want to see this report every month. I can go ahead and select monthly. I will choose my time zone. So maybe I want to get this at, let's see, where's my EST? I'm Eastern. I think I scrolled right past it. I'm going to just go ahead and grab this one, set my time zone to Eastern Standard, and then I can choose the day that I want to get it on or the days. So you could choose like a bi-weekly report. I'm just going to choose the first in the morning. So the first of every month in the morning, I will get this report automatically in my email. And when I hit save here, those report settings were successfully saved. My report is scheduled, so I can look out for that on the first of the month going forward. One question we get asked commonly about this auto report schedule is if you can set it up for other people. The answer to that, unfortunately, is no. You can walk other users through setting up a schedule for themselves, but this report by default is going to be sent to the email that is associated with your user, the email you're logged in with. If you want to unsubscribe, very easy, right down here in red text, I'll just go ahead and unsubscribe, and then I'll get a little confirmation message here that I have successfully unsubscribed from that. Share report is important. By default, when you create a report in Filevine, it's only going to be visible to you. So if you want other people on your team to be able to see the report, you can do one of two things. You can either share it with your entire org, which would give everyone access to that report, or you can choose to share it with individual users. So maybe I only want Jasmine to be able to see this report. I'll share that with her. So she and I are the only ones right now who can go in and see this report. When you share a report with another user, they cannot edit the report that you own. If they make any changes, which they will absolutely be able to do, they'll have to save as, and it will create their own version or their own copy. So you don't have to worry about other people coming in and overriding the report that you built. When you share a report with someone, they'll still be able to build off of it, but they will have to save as and save it on their own. And if they want you to be able to see it, they'll have to share it with you. Archive this report. I'm not going to do this on this screen, but I do want to show you under select report. If I refresh this really quickly, I should see two versions of the SOL past due or due within. So I'm going to scroll down to my actually, oh, looks like it didn't create a duplicate. So never mind. I will go ahead and just archive this one anyway, so that you can see how to do that. Maybe I created this report in error. I'll just click on that banker's box and it's going to ask me if I want to archive it. I'll say yes. But just like archiving projects, you can still view archived reports. And if I wanted to unarchive this report, I would just click on that little box with the arrow pointing up, and it unarchives my report. It's back in my list of reports. There is a question in the chat. Can I run a report on the phase and show how long the project has been in the phase? So reporting on phase dates is a little, not tricky, but getting a number of days in phase report. Let's work on building that out together. Go back and choose my personal injury project. And here, I want to do my list of projects again, because that one's going to give me that data. I'll come down and choose my org. And then grab that project type again. And with this one, I may not want all of the fields that we previously had. I might, if you want to add in, the incident date, the SOL, the attorney, the paralegal, those are all good columns to have in here. I'm just going to keep my name, my phase, and my first primary. Actually, I think I have phase date. There we go. So from here, I could add in criteria to filter out certain phases if I wanted to, but I do not believe that there is a days in phase option. We could filter it down by looking at projects that maybe haven't had a phase change in the last I don't know, 30 days or 60 days. Sometimes that's a little too quick for projects to move out of a phase, but this is our phase related criteria. So it's a little difficult to get an exact count unless you're setting up those formulas in Excel. There are some Excel formulas you can use to look at counts. So how many days has this been, or days since this date, I think is the specific way to word that. Jasmine, are you aware of any other phase? Oh, aside from our magic box of skill.
Yeah, so our magic box of skills does have a days in phase. It's like a dashboard. I sent the link in the chat and Amanda's pulled it up here. It our magic box of skills allows for like certain automation. So stuff that's not native to Filevine, our magic box of skills kind of gives you the ability to do. So this is kind of what that dashboard would look like for this days in phase. It'll break down each phase, how many days it is, nice pie charts and things like that. There is the option for you to like get that added on. If you work with us, especially I think in the month of December, I believe that's included. If you or you can just do a one-time setup fee. There's a few again options. The magic box of skills also helps with like cleanup. You could do phase change notifications, clean up your docs. So like the ones that are hashtagged email and attachment can automatically go into a subfolder, recycle obsolete fields, things like that. So again, just helps organizational wise. And then for some of those things that are not native to Filevine, to get the magic box of skills, you can reach out to us again. We'll put our emails in the chat. That way you all have an opportunity to ask kind of those questions, and we can get you connected with our team that does the magic box of skills to get it uploaded. They can tell you a little bit more about it and make sure that you all understand how to utilize it within your Filevine. Again, it's a one-time setup fee of $12.50, or if you work with us, again, you have the option to get that setup fee waived, and then there's an annual fee that you can kind of connect and talk about. But it definitely does help. Let me go ahead and add mine and Amanda's email in now, so that you can send us an email so you don't forget.
Yeah, so magic box of skills, it does accomplish that days in phase. It also, I'm sure you saw it on the site, but it does show you like a phase change notification as well. It's a lot prettier, but if we're in the report builder, I'll just pop back over here. We can't really see how many days it's been in the phase, but this report will show you the date that it entered the phase. So when this runs, you'll see it's a pretty generic report, and we set up very few columns. So it's informative in that way, but it's not quite as advanced as of course, as the dashboard and magic box of skills that can show you a lot more and manipulate that data a lot better. This is gonna just take another second to run. So I showed you the SOL report, and we added in some criteria for filtering out SOLs that maybe aren't upcoming, or SOLs that have already been completed. Here's our phase date report. Another report that I see people use is a medical records report. So I'm gonna just click out of here and grab my org and grab my project type again. And here I want to grab a list of medicals items. So this one you'll see is missing those selections at the bottom. The list of meds is not going to ask me to confirm which project type I'm working on, because this med section only exists in this project type. So we don't have to make that extra selection. Sometimes it can be helpful to have the medical section open so that you can see the exact name of those fields. What I want to look for, though, is the records receive date and the records request date. One quick note, and I will explain this a little more when we get to the criteria. I have not successfully been able to create a report that will accurately grab records and bills both outstanding on the same one, because the criteria we have to use can kind of cancel each other out, but I'll show you what I mean when we get to the criteria stage. So I'm going to keep our provider name, keep our project name. I'm going to go ahead and remove the balance, and I'm going to search for records ordered.
You can also copy the field name when you're in a project, if to make it a little bit faster as well. The system kind of recognizes it a little bit quicker for some reason. You can type it in again to that quick search, but just copying and pasting. And there was 3 options on that kind of drop down that Amanda had in that quick select. You'll see now that there's only 2. Right before the actual field name, it tells you like what section it's pulling from. So Amanda pulled the one for this specific medical item. The other ones are earliest, latest, similar to what you would pull into like a vitals, or really any other area that you're not pulling from the specific collection section. So earliest, averages, latest, highest, things like that can be pulled in. So just kind of wanted to note that there. Any of the anytime you're pulling in something to quick select, it will tell you which section it's pulling from, so you can make a more informed decision in the actual field name.
Awesome. Yes, very important call out there. Okay. So I'm keeping this one pretty simple. I do though, I'm gonna remove provider first name just in case our provider is just a doctor. I don't want it to pull in Dr. Dan. I want to see the whole name. So I'm gonna double click this to remove it and type in provider full name. Doesn't help that I'm typing a bunch of crazy characters. Okay. I'm going to grab that one just in case it is an individual provider. I want to capture as much as I can. On the criteria here, I'm going to close that. And again, just going straight for that quick select. It's a lot faster. I'm going to type in that records receive date. But the criteria I want for this one is empty. So I want to see any record requests where the receive date is empty, but I'm going to grab that same criteria for the request, which I'm going to have to copy. Oh, it's requested. That's why. And that's the benefit of copying that field name, because sometimes you'll miss a little bit of letters. All right. So I'm going to grab empty for both criteria, but I want to see projects where the receive date is empty, but the requested date has value. And what I meant with the report and the bill criteria kind of canceling each other out is if we were to add in the billing criteria here and we said records is empty, yes, records requested is empty, no, billing received is empty, yes, billing received is no, it would only show us cases where records and bills have both been ordered and both have not been received, which doesn't always happen. Sometimes you'll get your records first, or of course, sometimes you may get the bills first. Those seem to come in a little faster. So it is best to keep these separate just to get the most accurate data. But I'm going to go ahead and run this report and see what we get. When I was a paralegal as well, this is a report I had auto scheduled to come to my email every Monday. I also had it come every Friday, and it just gave me an idea of what medical providers I might need to focus on contacting that week. Maybe I could see that I have a request that's submitted, 40 days ago, and I haven't heard anything back. So it's a good report to set up on an auto schedule, just so that you don't have to think about running it. It just comes to you and you can keep trucking on getting those records and getting your cases moving. While this is running, another little tip on building these reports, nothing matched our data there, so no problem. I'm going to save this one and show you creating this report again for bills without even leaving this report builder area. So I'm just going to call this one outstanding medical records and save that. Let this dialog box close. And instead of going all the way back to select report at the beginning of report builder, if I wanted to create this one for bills, all I would need to do is after this saves, I'll go back into setup columns and switch those columns out for bills, go back into the criteria and switch that out. And then I would save that report as, and I could save it as medical bills. So you don't have to completely start over if you want to build off of an existing report or even a report that you just finished building. You can kind of recycle that template and just do a save as, so you're not overwriting anything. But it is a little quicker than going all the way back. I can just hop into setup columns, and remove those. Got my bills requested date. Oops, spelled received wrong. That's why it's best to copy then. Grab my received, and then I'll just pop over to criteria, close these out. All right, and we'll say receive date is empty, but request date is not. Run that report. We also may not see any results here, but now we have the report built. So if data does become available, we won't need to rebuild this report. We just need to rerun it. That's another great thing about Filevine reports. Once you set up a report, you can just run it anytime, and it will pull in any new data that fits that report criteria. It saves you some time from having to rebuild something you've already built, and you can always adjust a report that you've already built without having to completely scrap the original. So this one will take a second to run, and then when we get on the save screen, again, nothing's outstanding. Instead of hitting save, I'm just going to hit save as, switch that to bills, and now I have both reports saved, but I didn't have to go outside of Report Builder to adjust and create this one. I could just build it off of the report I already had in progress. All right. Those were my main reports, that SOL report and these outstanding medicals reports. I know we are coming up on our time a little bit. I think we have 10, 20 minutes left. Let me look.
Yeah, about 10.
Okay. So with that, any questions for our Q&A or any other quick reports you might want to see? No questions yet. Jasmine, is there anything else you can think to call out about reports?
The only thing we didn't really get a chance to like dive into is that export for with the templates. But it's a little bit more nuanced. It'll pull in the codes for you, so that you can then manipulate how the document or how your report will look once you generate it. So it allows you to, add super nice headers, change the colors of things, rearrange the way that things are positioned so that it's not maybe just all in a single line. I typically utilize Excel as opposed to Word, but you do have the option to do both. Excel is just a little bit easier with the cells, in my opinion, and then the ability to do like totals or add other Excel related formulas in to manipulate the data in the way that you're looking for. There are instructions that Amanda's pulled up. That's step 2. Step 1 will be the actual template that you'll download. That template, again, will have codes similar to where it says project name. It'll have codes like that in there. It breaks down just a little bit about, hey, this is how you'll actually be able to move the data around. There's a begin repeat and end repeat. So those are super important to make sure that if you do decide to go down this route, that you know what those end and beginning repeaters look like. And then you can upload your template and then again generate the content in a format that is beneficial to you.
Yeah, it's nice if you are reporting on things where you want to see totals to just go ahead and export that default template, add in your total, and then upload that template so that whenever you do run it, or if it's on an auto schedule, when you open that report up, it will already be formatted for exactly what you're looking for. One more thing, you can star reports. I did not call this out at the beginning, but you can star reports if they are something you want to see maybe at the top of your saved reports. So I'm just going to grab this SOL report that we created first and favorite it. And when I go to saved reports, you'll see my favorites show up right at the top with that little star. And from the saved reports menu, you do have the same options. They just look a little different. Here you've got your export options. If you click on the gear, that will take you back to the report builder so that you can edit this report. The calendar is going to let you set up that auto schedule. The banker's box will just go ahead and archive that report from here. And then this little arrow will let you share the report. If you're looking at one or you've run one and maybe someone brings it to your attention that they don't have access, you could go ahead and share that report from here as well. So this is the other way to view reports in Filevine, which is perfect for if you've already got reports built, you don't need to edit them. This saved reports option is a little bit of a cleaner, more organized view. But whenever you star a report, it's going to show up at the top. You also have this filter menu option, which would just allow you to start typing. Maybe I want to look for that medical records. You could just go ahead and start typing in part of the title, and it will filter that menu on the side down, just in case, like us, maybe you have a ton of reports that your team runs, so you can use that filter to narrow it down. All right. Well, that was really everything this time that I wanted to talk to you about reports on. We do have a few more minutes, so if there are any questions that have come to mind, please go ahead and ask them. I'm going to go ahead just for the last few minutes and stop my screen share. Hop back on video here with you all.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Amanda. That was super great. I feel like I always learned something new on these free helps, and hopefully you all did as well. Just again, some few reminders. If you have Q&A or questions, feel free to reach out. If you don't have them right now, but maybe something comes up, feel free to reach out. I put both mine and Amanda's email addresses in the chat for you all to be able to reach out. If you're interested in that magic box of skills that we discussed today, just shoot us an email and we'll get you sent over to the right folks to get that added onto your Filevine. Again, we do record these sessions and they'll be put up on our website. I added that link at the very beginning. We do host these every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so hopefully you all can join us again in the future. All of the free help topics are listed on our website for the upcoming weeks. So we have managing tags and communication next week, feed task management and calendaring the week after. We do switch them up. We also do sessions that are like Ask Me Anything, so you all can come in with questions that you've had, difficulties, or if you just want to hear how other folks are utilizing Filevine, feel free to hop on those as well. If there's any free help sessions or topics that you all want to see in the future, feel free to shoot me an email so that we can get working on those for you all. We do this for you, and so we want you all to get the most that you can out of it. So we'd love to hear feedback, love to hear things that you all enjoy that we're doing. Again, topics that you maybe want more focus in on, or other things that may be helpful for you as we do these free help sessions. But if there's no questions, it was such a pleasure chatting with you all today. Again, thank you so much, Amanda. And if you all ever need optimization services or launch services, feel free to reach out to us. We can chat with you, answer any questions that you have, and get you up and running in Filevine, or just helping you to revamp or do some of those more monotonous, mundane things that you all just don't have the time or don't want to do. But thank you all so much and have a great rest of your week.
So thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.